So yeah, Ghana, until when will a young person be able to apply into the security services and genuinely work freely, believing that the process was completely fair? Until when will we build a system where a young person from Bamboy, Tamale, Kumasi, or any part of the country can completely have confidence and say that I actually went through because of my credentials, my performance, and my qualifications? Can someone confidently tell a politician that I don't need your connection, I just need to be qualified? That is what I want to see. Ladies and gentlemen, before we start, let me make something very clear. Yes, I am wearing a military style camouflage today, but please, before somebody sees this video and start calling me Officer Kofi, oh Kofi, I beg you, please, let me caution you that I am not a military man. I am not an official military officer, and this is not an official military uniform. It is simply a design, and this one is from Tommy Hilfiger designed camouflage outfit. So mine doesn't have a badge and it doesn't have any insignia on it. I don't even have a name on it. So this is just what? Fashion. Let's just say that today is career day in content creating. And yes, I am wearing this because today we are going to talk about Ghana security services. So for educational and content purpose, this is just a fashion. All right, now let's get serious. I have always wanted to talk about how people get recruited into the security services in this country. Let me not beat about the bush. Let me go straight to the point. You see, maybe you've been told or you have it at the back of your mind that the process is really fair and that it is merit based, and that is enough for you. That is how you get into any of the security services. Well, that's fine, but hear me out and listen to what I have for you, and let's judge together if it is truly fair and merit based. My first concern is a system that makes people who have passion to serve their country pay money just to apply to enter into the services. You see, in the 2025-2026 recruitment exercise, more than 500,000 people applied to join Ghana's internal security services, and the application voucher was sold at 220 cedis. So if all 500,000 applicants paid 220 cedis, do the mathematics, and that will give you somewhere around 110 million Ghana cedis. That is 110 million Ghana cedis application fees. That 110 million Ghana cedis is a serious amount of money. Yes, that we must look at, we must consider and ask ourselves, where does that money go into? And the sad part is what I am about to get into. So yeah, stay with me. Now, imagine spending money to apply. You applied correctly and you qualified to the next stage of screening. You went and wrote examination. You passed the various stages. You went through the medicals. You actually did everything the system asked you to do. And yeah, after all that, you actually discover that you have passed through the process to the last stage. Yet, there's another system that you missed. And for that reason, maybe you are still at home ever since and you have not been called. Oh yes. And that system is what I'm going to talk about today. The protocol system. This is the conversation I want us to have today. Because here is the bigger challenge. Indeed, a lot of the applicants who apply, they do qualify. They meet all the criteria and the standards. But then they cannot all be taken. So Then the most important question I ask myself is that now that all of them, or a huge chunk of the applicants, qualify, meet the criteria and all that, who actually decides who gets the final opportunity? That's the question we should ask ourselves. My concerns are about the application fees, the transparency involved in the process, the political influence and engagement in this process, the corruption and emotional burden that is being placed on the ordinary Ghanaian who has no connections, who has no networks. The problem is whether everyone has an equal opportunity to be selected. Was it fair? Was it free? And that distinction is what we should begin to talk about. Let me tell you something personal. In 2021, I applied, yes, to the Ghana Immigration Service. And you can see, I've put it on the screen for you to look at it. In fact, I went through all the stages. I did the application. I was sent a message that I qualify. I did what I was supposed to do. I went to the physical screening. I qualified. I went and wrote an exams. And I can't just imagine the stress that I went through just to form a queue, a long queue that it took a whole day. I mean, the stress is so much. After everything, I wrote the exams and I was hopeful. I did what I was supposed to do. I followed the due process. And as I speak with you today, I am still anticipating and hoping that one day I will be called, since 2021. And before somebody says, Kofi, maybe you didn't qualify. That's fair. I understand. Maybe I didn't qualify indeed. Maybe somebody else was better than me. Maybe there was simply more qualified people than myself. I can accept that. But I asked myself, I paid a system that was quick to accept my payment for application, yet was very slow to communicate back to me clearly the reason why I wouldn't be picked or I wouldn't get to enroll to the next stage. I think a system that charges this fee for application and processes should be completely accountable to the payer at every stage of the process. Yes, I mean accountability should be part of the process. At every stage, the applicant should know what is happening. We should communicate the reason why he wouldn't get to the next stage. So yeah, you watching me right now, I guess maybe you also don't understand why you are not being called, even though you went through all the processes. That's even the lighter note. Now let's get deeper. So personally, I have experienced the system and what it feels like to put your faith in the formal recruitment system and then wait. And that is why this topic is not just politics to me. For me, it is personal. You see, I want to be fair here. Currently, Ghana has a formal recruitment process, which is largely online. In recent years, recruitment for several interior ministry security agencies has been managed through the centralized services, which is the e-recruitment portal, CSEP. So the 2025-2026 exercise covered the Ghana Police Services, the Ghana National Services, the Prison Services, and the Immigration Service. I mean, applicants went through online application and screening. I mean, now online system, I think we are improving. But yes, on paper, that sounds exactly like what we all want, isn't it? What I am actually advocating for today. Here is the question that bothers me. At what point does the human being enter the equation? Because the system doesn't take care of the whole procedure. At a point in time, somebody must sit at the table and decide among all the many qualified people who gets to the next stage. And that's where the problem is. Because a computer can process your application, a computer can administer examination, a computer can record your score. But ultimately, somebody has to make the decision about who gets recruited when there are more qualified applicants than available positions. And that is where transparency becomes extremely important. Now, this particular gap is what creates the system of connections, protocols, slots, corruptions, networks, or whatever that you may put it. This particular gap. And let me show you why I can confirm that there are protocols and connections in this process. You see, in January 2025, during the vetting of the late defense minister, Dr. Edward Omane Boama, may his soul rest in peace, the minority leader, Alexander Afenyomaki, made some remarks about what he described as a protocol allocation for recruitment into the security services. Yes, he clearly mentioned that. And he even told the nominee in substance that the fact that he is rigorously questioning him shouldn't let him think that he will lose his protocol slot. And that wasn't the only time he actually spoke about the issue. Afenyomaki later publicly said that MPs from both the NPP and MDC had historically received protocol opportunities for security recruitment. That is out there. His argument was that MPs could use such laws to assist qualified constituents through the recruitment process. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let us pause for a moment. This is where I want us to think deep. If there is a formal recruitment system where everybody applies, everybody takes the necessary tests, and everybody goes through the screening, but there is also a designated protocol opportunity, then we need to look at this. How exactly do these two systems interact? Because imagine the ordinary applicants like myself when I applied in 2021 compared with an applicant presented by an MP or a minister or whoever is holding the protocol card or whoever has the slot. Both have qualified. I mean, me, the ordinary applicant, and the one who was presented by the protocol person. We both have qualified. And we have both gone through the same processes, just like I went through with the others. We both meet, we all meet the requirements. Now, if you were sitting on the decision-making table right now, and you are being asked to pick one, who would you pick? The applicant who came through the normal system, tell me, or the applicant who has been presented by the MP or through the protocol allocation? Which one? You see, that is the question. Let's not pretend that the conversation about connections and protocol and corruption before you get into some of these security services does not exist. Let's not downplay that, because it is being publicly discussed by these political figures themselves.